and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. During the February 26 COVID-19 press conference, Monroe County Health Administrator Penny Caudle said the county COVID advisory level will remain in yellow.
Monroe County is still in yellow in terms of that advisory. So even though when you first go to that map of what's going on, you don't see cases, you see the metrics map, and what you actually see is flu. Well, that is because the metrics takes in the percent positivity rate as well as cases per thousand. They do the calculations and it comes to 0.5, which is blue. However, our cases per 100,000 are still in yellow. And so we are not completely blue. And I just want to make that clarification for people. In terms of an advisory, we stay in yellow for 2 weeks. We don't automatically move lower.
Caudle said COVID-19 testing clinic closures might have affected the number of said local cases. IU Health South Central Region President Brian Shockney said COVID-19 inpatient levels were at an all-time low, and according to Caudle, over 11,000 Monroe County residents have been fully vaccinated. Shockney said Monroe County received an additional 1,170 Pfizer vaccine doses.
This is in addition to our normal allotment. They've seen how quickly we're able to put shots in arms and supporting us to want to do more. And so that will be an additional 70 appointments per day starting on Monday.
Caudle said only Indiana residents are eligible to receive the vaccine in Indiana. The Bloomington Redevelopment Commission approved EV Connect charging stations for electric cars in the 4th Street and Trades District parking garages. Attorney Larry Allen said the charging stations were a requirement during their March 1st meeting.
So before the garages were approved, there were a list of requirements for each garage. For both the Trades District garage and the 4th Street garage, there was a minimum number of EV charging stations or the ability to plug in, so parking spots that were reserved in each garage. The Trades District garage specifically called for 6, the ability to charge 6 cars, and this is to purchase that EV charging equipment. This is for 5 charging stations, but each of those charging stations charge 2 cars each. So essentially we have 10 spots that'll be reserved for electric cars to be able to charge. This is also from the vendor that the city has gone with in the past. So you'll see we're addending the existing agreement with EV Connect, who has been our provider. They were sought out in a public bid, and they were chosen a few years ago. And just to keep all of our technology consistent and the same, it was decided that this was the best route to go.
Allen said the agreement would cost approximately $38,000 and that approximately $18,000 would be covered with an Indiana Department of Environmental Management grant. Commissioner Nick Koppas said the entire garages could be wired for EV parking and asked Allen about potential expansion.
Currently, actually, we provide more stations than we have demand for use actually in our garages. We have one that's used on a fairly regularly basis almost all the time. However, outside of that one particular charging station, Ryan is making sure that we set up. So this expansion in these 2 garages will probably give us some wiggle room. But you're right, instead of it actually saying that the whole garage is wired for it, what we did is we ran conduits so that we can expand the wiring to do this. And I think we would probably do this in chunks. So as we see the demand and be able to measure the demand for these types of EV charging station as that grows, then we'll try to do this on a level of scale so that we could, do the cost savings. And also, if it becomes necessary, of course, we would open it up to bid again if we needed to come with a new technology, if there's some new hot thing.
Allen said use of the charging stations would be of no cost to any person with an electric car. Bloomington Utilities Department Director Vic Kelson introduced the Smart Meter Customer Portal during the March 1st Utilities Service Board meeting. He said the website would allow customers to view their usage details.
You're able to look at your usage by hours or days or months. You can also set a date range. Here's an example of one for the site we're looking at here. And you can see these are hourly. The bar graph you'll see there is the hourly usage at the service center. It probably doesn't surprise you that the reading at 8, 9, 10 are the highest ones of the day. So in the morning when we're starting the day. If you look across just above the bar graph, you can choose the time period, whether you want to look at 1 day or 7 days or 30 days or a year, or you can just choose a date range to look at your water usage.
Kelson said the data is updated every hour and that email alerts can be set to detect leaks or overusage.
See that. When you're working with this, our experience is that the Firefox web browser works the best with these kinds of settings, but you can just go in here and set up whatever kinds of alerts for daily usage or for your billing cycle usage, just to let you know when you're using more than you anticipate.
Kelson said that the customers will need an email address and their account number to register. Residents can find information for the customer portal on the city government website at bloomington.in.gov. And we will have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
There for me, every day.
Believing in me. Showing me what's possible.
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body.
to say I can rather than I can't,
To say no with no apology.
To be a leader.
to finish school,
To own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to CATSweek. Monroe County Council held a work session to discuss a stormwater system user fee increase. During their March 1st meeting, Attorney Dave Schilling said the current rate would approximately double.
And the rate is currently about $35, and this would double the rate to about $75.77. Statutorily, the rate is recommended by the Stormwater Board, and the rate has to be reasonably related to the costs of operating and maintaining the stormwater system. The Stormwater Board is required to do a study and conduct a hearing on those issues. So the Stormwater Board did perform a financial study about they developed 3 different program agendas and had a financial advisor tell them what rate they needed to achieve each of those agendas. And so the Stormwater Board selected the middle agenda, the middle rate, as being the one most desirable for Monroe County.
Schilling said the increase would not be monthly. Councilmember Cheryl Munson said she felt constrained to make a recommendation by the given time frame.
I feel like our backs are up against the wall. We want to see a good stormwater program and meeting the requirements that are expected of us. And the hearing took place, the public hearing on this proposal took place in early January. So we have plenty of time to review this as a council and to discuss other options if we wanted to. I just hope in the future that we can do our jobs better by being provided information earlier so that our backs are not up against the wall.
Attorney Margie Rice said the council has the right to approve or reject the fee increase, but not to amend the proposed resolution. Councilmember Trent Deckard asked Highway Director Lisa Ridge about the current user fee deficit.
When it comes to the needs that the county actually has related to this job, and then we think about residents where mudslides coming into cul-de-sacs. I've had that constituent call, where we have roads overflowing. We have other issues that are happening. We currently, under the current fee structure, are not able to fully meet the needs that we have because we're running at a deficit. And what's more, we know that when that damage happens, somebody is paying for that. That doesn't just walk away, or the lack of productivity when a road closes forever. I mean, I'm probably poorly speaking to what your folks do an excellent job with or attempt to, but the money is running short right now, and it looks like it's been for a minute or two.
So you are correct. If we keep at the rate that we're going, and I think that's why we've been discussing it for so long, if we keep as we're going, we would break the bank.
Ridge said the county has approximately 150 open project requests. The council approved the fee increase, with Councilmember Marty Hawk voting no. Rice said the rate must also be approved by the county commissioners before it can take effect. The Monroe County Personnel Administration Committee discussed a request for a new stormwater inspector position during their March 2nd meeting. Councilmember Trent Deckard said the position was contingent upon the stormwater rate increase approval on March 1st. Ridge described the proposed position.
IDEM is cracking down heavily and changing their permit process, which is going to require more inventories on our asset management, which we have a good start on, but it's also going to develop into more inspections, more inventories that we will be required to provide to IDEM. To keep up with these mandates, it's going to require more personnel. So this was one of the positions that we felt that is a dire need in the county.
Council Administrator Kim Schell said that once the position is approved, Wagner, Irwin, and Shaley, or WIS, will have to classify the job position. The committee members unanimously approved a classification review by WIS. The MCCSC School Board held a work session to discuss the state of Indiana's updated COVID-19 protocols. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Andrea Mobley spoke about changes in quarantine and close contacts during their March 2nd meeting.
And during the educational day and in the classroom, if students are facing forward 3 feet apart, wearing masks at all times, and if the student and teacher are at least 3 feet apart, contact tracing will not need to occur. Again, masks must be consistently worn, 3 feet of separation, and other mitigation strategies such as frequent symptom checking, hand washing are all occurring regularly. If masks are not worn, and a distance of at least 3 feet, contact tracing must be at 6 feet. Now, I want to note that this does not apply to band, it does not apply to orchestra, choir, show choir, or any other high-risk classes. It does not apply to athletics or other extracurricular activities.
Mobley said schools can continue to contact trace anyone who has become within a 6-foot distance of a known positive case. She said current close contacts are required to quarantine for 14 days. However, she said new updates allow for shorter quarantines for asymptomatic close contacts.
If determined reasonable in consultation with the local health department. One option is a 10-day quarantine, and the other is a 7-day quarantine. And I will now outline the details of each. The simplest and the most straightforward is the 10-day quarantine. A close contact can return on day 11 if they have had no symptoms of COVID-19, and it is estimated that the risk of transmission is about 1.4% with an upper limit of 10%.
Mobley said the 7-day quarantine option could be used for asymptomatic close contacts who have received a negative test result. She also said rapid COVID-19 tests are now available to schools.
Schools have the option of using the Binax rapid antigen test for symptomatic students and employees within the first 7 days of symptoms. So that's symptomatic students and employees within the first 7 days of symptoms, and for asymptomatic close contacts to return on day 8 to the classroom. So for asymptomatic close contacts to return on day 8, as discussed. And again, we did not order these tests. These tests have been shipped to us from the state. The first initial shipment is 120 tests per building, and more can be ordered if we would use those.
Mobley said the rapid tests provide results in 15 minutes. Pediatrician Dr. James Laughlin spoke about the accuracy of a negative test after day 7.
When you test patients between 8 and 10 days after onset of a quarantine period, if you have, I've got numbers, but studies that have been done have shown that if you have a community incidence or prevalence of 1% or less, the chance of somebody being positive with a negative test at day 7 is 0.25%.
Board member Brandon Schur said the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention still recommended a gold standard of 14 days quarantine. Board members will reach a decision about implementation of the new guidelines at their next school board meeting. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
Let's talk about sex.
What is consent?
And what's not?
Consent is based on choice.
Consent is active, not passive.
Consent is giving permission without feeling pressure.
What is not consent?
Silence.
Passed out.
Intoxicated.
Fear.
It is not consent.
Got consent?
Ask.
Sex without consent is a crime. Only yes means yes.
Welcome back to CATSweek. The Bloomington Board of Public Works approved a change order for the West 17th Street Reconstruction project. Project manager Matt Smethurst spoke about the change during their March 2nd meeting.
Change order number 9 is for 2 additional concrete driveway approaches, additional traffic control signage rental that was due to the utility delays, and additional nursery sod where we were over on our estimate for the project. This change order would result in an increase to the contract of $15,031.20.
Smethurst said the project would be refunded through an Indiana Department of Transportation interlocal agreement. The Monroe County Commissioners approved the Stormwater System user fee increase during their March 3rd meeting. Highway Director Lisa Ridge said their stormwater fee was the lowest in the county. Commissioner's attorney Dave Schilling explained the details of the increase.
This ordinance would increase the stormwater system user fee from $35.16 to $75.77. And the stormwater rate was established about 10 years ago. And over the staff started preparing studies and reports and programs and projects schedules to meet their stormwater obligations. But over that last decade, there have been some changes that really make an increase in the storm rate necessary. There's been an increase in the cost of construction. The establishment of many new developments has increased stormwater pressures. The climate change has certainly had an effect on the way stormwater flows in our county.
Schilling said the Indiana Department of Environmental Management added new regulations which created additional tasks for the stormwater staff. He said the fee would occur annually through tax bills. Commissioner Julie Thomas commented on the pressure felt by County Council to pass the ordinance on Monday.
In a nutshell, we've basically had to have a meeting about 8 days earlier than we would have asked them to provide final consideration. Normally that would have happened at their regular meeting in March, which is next Tuesday. But because of the necessity of getting the calculations into the tax bills on time to get them out for the treasurer's office, we did ask that they have this extra meeting and meet 8 days earlier. And we appreciate their flexibility and their willingness to do so.
Commissioner Lee Jones said an increased fee was necessary to mitigate flooding and stormwater issues caused by a high rate of development in Monroe County. Thomas said that future developments should be planned proactively.
But we're going to be looking more closely at everything to be more preventative, to be proactive rather than reactive, which I think is going to be a huge benefit to everyone in the community. Every time we do anything or build anything, we're impacting all of the people around us. We're impacting the roadways, we're impacting the waterways, we're impacting the water quality. We don't live in a bubble, and it compounds itself. When one thing happens, one thing is built improperly, it really compounds the problem down the line. And as Commissioner Jones pointed out, between climate change and our topography and our development, we have to be really careful because we are living in a very sensitive environment.
Thomas said the first fee increase would appear on the May 2021 tax bill. The Monroe County Commissioners discussed the Duke Trail development during their March 3rd work session. Operations and Development Division Director Tim Street spoke about the pedestrian trail location,
which would run east-west, basically from just across the entrance to Switchyard Park on Rogers Street, where there's a Duke substation there, following these high transmission wires to the west towards Weimer Road.
Street said Phase 1 of the trail development would end at Summit Elementary School. He said the trail would also connect to RCA Park and a Habitat for Humanity development. Deputy Public Defender Noah Williams said the trail would not be directly under the power lines.
The easement width is 150 feet, and Duke has already expressed a requirement that we could not be underneath any of the towers. We would have to be 25 feet away at minimum. Still constrained by the easement width, but not directly underneath the towers.
Commissioner Julie Thomas said further discussion with the county legal department was needed before additional steps could be made. The next county commissioners meeting will be held on March 10th. The Ellitsville Plan Commission approved a 7-lot plat in the Burberry Lake Estates subdivision on West Reeves Road. During their March 4th meeting, Planning Director Kevin Talati said the proposal was for 5 single-family lots with plans for future development. He spoke about sidewalk connectivity.
And there's no sidewalk on Loudon Road connecting anything on either side of them right now. And what they're proposing to do instead is put a walkway that would meet ADA standards on the back of the lots, which will in turn connect with some internal walkways and lead straight to the school.
Community member Russ Ryle was concerned about adding traffic around the school and said that the area has also seen drainage issues.
And I'm really concerned after what we went through with the Capitol Avenue mess and the problems we already have in litigation in getting a road on the east side of Ellisville up to serve an expanding area. I'm really concerned that we're going to go ahead and put some more congestion down there until we have a viable plan in place. You know, I don't really want to see us wake up 2 to 4 years from now, depending how long it takes to develop out that area. That whole area has got a major drainage issue, but if you deal with that, you're going to have at least 100 single-family residences down there off of Loudon Road, south of Reeves, in those fields. And we need some better plan at this point and how we're going to set all that in there and handle both the drainage and the pedestrian traffic and the traffic.
Talati said the 5 homes were not a concern and that additional developments would be approved at a later time. Community member Ben Russell asked what types of homes would be built on the lots.
Semi-custom homes. We're looking at the price range between $300,000 and $500,000.
And do you have a builder for these 5 homes?
Yeah, we are the builder as well.
Okay. Are there past homes that you have built that are in a different subdivision that we could base the expectations off of?
We built out a subdivision on Mustang Drive. That was not the same target market that we're going to be building these homes for. But yeah, we did build out Mustang Drive.
The developer said the homes could range from 3 bedrooms to 5 bedrooms. The next Ellitsville Plan Commission meeting will be held on April 8th. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.